I am Jim Collison and live from the Gallup Studios here in Omaha, Nebraska. This is Gallup Theme Thursday, Season 6, recorded on February 5th, 2020. Theme Thursday is a Gallup webcast series that dives deep into the CliftonStrengths theme, one theme at a time. This season, based on developing teams and managers with CliftonStrengths. And today, we are talking about consistency. If you're listening live, I'd love to have you join us in our chat room. Links right above the video window. Though many of you have joined us over there already if you're listening live. If you have questions after the fact, you can always send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on any podcast app that you listen to. Subscribe to us on YouTube if you're listening there. And just love to have you join us here live. Micah Librant is our host today. She's a workplace consultant here at Gallup. Micah, always great to see you on Theme Thursday. You're in Omaha, which is always awesome. Welcome to Theme Thursday.
Thanks, Jim. This season we're exploring every theme through the lens of the team. And we know from research and from experience that there tend to be 5 things that strong teams really have going for them. I'm going to present these I'm going to use them as a jumping off point to talk about consistency today. But as you listen, you might also think about these 5 as a rubric for where your team is really strong and where perhaps they could use some improvement. So let's get into consistency. The short definition: you are keenly aware of the need to treat people the same. You crave stable routines and clear rules and procedures that everyone can follow.
I crave this theme. Like I don't, it's not there. I mean, it is, it's in the middle, and I crave it because it does a lot of great things. So for those folks who have this, it's an amazing, to me, it's an amazing theme. But Micah, talk a little bit about this. So you've been talking about these 5 things. We've been encouraging people in the framework to write them down. Number 1, conflict doesn't destroy strong teams because strong teams focus on results. How do they do that?
First of all, I think we've said this now like 5 times. We've never really dove into the sentence, but imagine the power of this is why the conflict isn't destroying us. I think so many times we get pulled in and we're like, help me manage conflict. And what we know about strong teams is that isn't the target. The target is the results that are bigger than that conflict. For somebody with consistency, that focus on results is a pursuit of uniformity, minimizing the impact of outliers, really bringing everything into repeatable, manageable order. Results that matter to somebody with high consistency is looking at what can be sustained. So what's more than just a short-lived win or an unpredictable victory?
Yeah, and while I crave this, I often fight against it. Sorry for those with consistency. How does someone with consistency track progress? What kind of results might matter to them?
I think they're going to pay attention to indicators. What is it that we're doing today that we can keep doing? Where the gains might not be flashy, but will be predictable and will still be gains. I think safety and fairness play a big part in consistency's attention to results. Their desire to make sure every person has the same opportunity to work hard may mean that they track through clearly defined rules that really level the playing field as much as possible. Practically, this might look like expecting each person on the team to share ownership of one common goal, at least one, not just the only one. It might also look like a desire for people to have an equal ownership of consequences, both negative and positive.
I don't like that sentence. Equal ownership of consequences.
Yeah.
In a team setting, that can be a make or break oftentimes. And so I think really, really important. Let's do number 2.
Number 2 is strong teams prioritize what's best for the organization, and then they move forward or they get to work.
So how does someone with consistency focus on a large goal or purpose rather than their own, right? This is what we're talking about this year.
Yeah, it is so much of what we planted the seeds in season 5, where we talked about the maturity being less about me and more about we. I think number 2 helps us dive into what does that look like. So for consistency, it's about understanding how other partners within the organization contribute, and that kind of assurance that we are following the same rules, following the same expectations, adhering to the same standards. They like knowing that we have an equal shot, and they like taking that shot. It's still an executing theme. It might also be important to track goals continually, getting regular updates of how this person or this person's team is comparing to others who are measured against the same standards. Standards are important for somebody with consistency, and it's best if you have the practice of agreeing upon what the standards are going to be. It might even be worth revisiting not the execution towards something, but revisiting whether we're still agreeing to the contract on what acceptable is or what it's not.
Michelle in the chat room says this: my son has consistency number one. This explains why when we play family games, he's always the scorekeeper. I mean,
Oh, beautiful.
how great is that as an example, Micah, when we think about that, he's always inspired to want to keep track, right?
Mm-hmm.
How else someone with consistency, how can they take action?
It might be important, I think, just to be able to use that scorekeeper experience and say they probably understand how the group is progressing forward. So it is about taking action. It's also about taking, like we said, rules and standards and what's repeatable, what's sustainable. So their action is probably not going to look very new all the time. It might look more about the whole moving forward and progressing together. So number 3 is members of strong teams are as committed to their personal lives as they are to their work. So we probably want to think about, what does that mean for consistency? What's it look like in your personal life? I like this sentence of, anything they do for one, they do for all. You might find hints of kind of an evenness or uniformity, and that could show up in how they treat people or how they treat their time. I have a friend who gives a gift of the year. So every year she finds one really great gift and she buys 10 or 12 of them. And that is what she gives to all of her other friends. And last year it was like a really cool picture frame. And that kind of benefit that she gets from having that uniformity and that standardized approach means she's not ever wasting time thinking, I need to find the perfect thing for this individual. I have another friend thinking about how they approach consistency with their time. She actually has a pie chart of where she invests her time, and she keeps herself accountable by journaling back toward, am I feeling out of balance with any of these pieces? Am I making sure that I am showing up with the same kind of preparedness or the same kind of passion in one important area of my life as I am within another one? And that ability to recalibrate toward evenness, I just think, is a really beautiful aspect of consistency.
That's the aspect I really love in consistency, and I have such a hard time doing, right? I'm not built that way. How, from a management perspective, like we're talking about the manager a lot this year, how can a manager tap into that with some really great questions? What kind of things could they ask, pull that maybe from their personal life and bring it into the workplace?
What's an important system you have at home? How do you decide to spend your time? What is a family rule that benefits everyone in your house? What's an important tradition among your friends or your family? Something everyone does or everyone knows?
Yeah, and those are some great questions to ask everybody, by the way. But you'll see that, I think, as we pull those out of consistency, that's pretty great. Let's look at number 4.
Number 4 is strong teams embrace diversity. Diversity is bigger than strengths. So this is probably, in many ways, it could be its own conversation completely. We're not trying to say that, the pinnacle of diversity is CliftonStrengths diversity, but it is a jumping point to say, how might you see somebody based on their talent, in addition to other attributes that bring difference and bring that extra perspective. So I just want to dive into that first one. How might we see someone through the lens of consistency? What do they naturally bring to the team that might be a way we refer to them? We could call them a leveler, an equalizer, someone who notices the extremes and pulls those extremes down toward uniformity or toward the center. They're steady, they're safe. I think they can also be somebody who creates a container for fair and practical progress toward a goal.
Yeah, safe word, I think, is really, really important, especially on teams. What unique perspective does consistency bring to a team?
They have a conscience for fairness, elevating standards and contracts to the center of the conversation. That was a really flashy way to say they're going to talk about how we do things together and not just what we do. After emotions are running high about opportunities, give the consistency person the voice to sort out how what the team does fits into how what they're doing fits into the way that they're doing it. So it's not just that I'm going to get blinded by the fact that we have something to achieve right now. They're going to be paying attention to the way that we're doing it, or the agreement that we make with each other or with the people we're doing it for. And I think that's a really important voice, especially when you compare it through that lens of executing and thinking about, I might just look at a team grid and see, well, they're all doers, but knowing that that specific flavor of doing pays attention to the systems. That's, I think, just a cool, unique perspective.
When teams are working well, they become what we like to call a talent magnet, right? This is number 5. Strong teams are magnets for talent. Talk a little bit about how are people attracted to these teams through this theme.
Yeah, there's a stability that consistency brings to relationships that I think is really attractive. They tend to avoid unfair advantages or disadvantages. It's about evening other people's opportunities to play, and that can create opportunities that might have gone unnoticed. When you want to refresh your current perspective or test whether your priorities are in line, invite them in to give you an exhale free from the hype. Sorry, and be able just to say, okay, what's really mattering here? It's that leveling the playing field piece that can really be refreshing.
Inclusion can be really difficult, by the way. And it's not just about providing the opportunities, but providing them in a way they can actually be consumed. This is one of those areas that we work on all the time here in making sure, and it's very, very difficult. What kind of gift could consistency bring to a team that may help in that area?
It's about knowing what works and knowing the implications of changing that. Consistency is still about, how do I work in a way that I could do for 100 years? And I was reminded of this morning. So I'm podcasting right now from someplace I never podcast from. I have only one piece of my own equipment right now. And without consistency, I didn't think that was going to be a big deal at all. I have high adaptability, I have ideation, I have strategic, I'll get through it, it'll be fine. But I was thinking, if I was somebody with consistency, I probably would have had some red flags from the beginning, and I would have been better prepared, because I would have paid attention to the repeatable actions, the rituals that work. Consistency notices that. I didn't notice that because I didn't have consistency. I think it makes, what do they have that others want more of? It's that safety that creates, being well prepared, having the space, both emotionally and practically, to, when we do want to change, to feel like we're well informed on what that's going to do.
Sometimes I also have to find new ways of doing things. So the old ways were created on one system, or not changing the current way it works, but adding a new path, creating new pathways, creating multiple ways. It's harder that way sometimes, especially if we have consistency. We want one way for everything sometimes to make it fair, when it really is multiple paths to get there. This is one of those technology solutions where you kind of have to think, and not always with technology, but it's pretty common that way. You always kind of have to think, maybe one path is not diverse enough, and I need multiple ways for folks to be able to access that. So it's a great discussion. We talked about belief earlier. There's some great things in that as well, and thinking through that. I think there's some hard questions to ask in consistency, and as a manager, do not shy away from them. Micah, as a reminder, let's go back through those 5 again.
Yeah, don't shy away from them, and also realize they have the answers. I'm giving you my take on this, and it's isolated from it living inside a human. So just ask the questions and listen to the answers. The answers are within those people. Those 5, again, are results, not conflict. Do what's best for the organization and then move forward. Work plus personal lives both matter. Embrace diversity, and magnets for talent. And again, just think about how you might evaluate your own team through these truths. If you want to read more about them, you can dive into strengths-based leadership.
We have been spending this season as well as season 5, thinking about this idea of talent mindfulness, and they've gotten really, really popular, which is great. We appreciate your feedback on them. Micah has another good one lined up for us today. Micah, what do you have?
This exercise is for you for now, separate from the learning you've been doing, the notes you've been taking, mentally or otherwise. So do yourself a favor and turn your focus inward. It might help to take a deep breath. Now, you might want to replay this in the future. Come back and take notes. You might even need to return to these questions a few times before you feel like you found a true and helpful answer for yourself. That's okay. This is a practice. It's not an exclusive opportunity. We're going to talk today about systems or rituals that are important to you. So let's start with a rating scale. On a scale of 1 to 10, you don't have to tell anybody your answer. How prepared did you feel to take on your day this morning? Not just when you woke up, but whenever you showed up to your first experience, whether that was getting to work or seeing another person. When you started your day, how prepared did you feel to take on the challenges that lied in front of you? Let's do a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is not at all, and a 10 is I'm very confident in my ability to take on these challenges. Think about that number in your mind. Our goal right now is going to be to claim a small, simple adjustment that increases that score by just 1 point between now and tomorrow. It's important to think about what we can control, especially in a time when change is flying at our face. But you are a champion. You are a distraction deflecting ninja. And taking control of the systems that you use, the habits that you have, helps you focus that energy toward what really matters, toward feeling confident about facing the challenges that you face. So I'd like you to think about one ritual, a repeatable action that helps you focus or that helps you sort out your day, or even just one thing that helps you feel like as much of a champion as I just said you were. Let's try this. I'm going to give you an example of one. Right now, focus your gaze on something that is not moving above your computer screen on the farthest wall that you can comfortably see. If you're driving, this is not for you. But as long as you're not driving, focus on one item. It doesn't matter really what the item is. I'm looking above my computer. I can see a tissue box at the farthest wall. I'd like you just to turn down the noise in your head. And for the next 10 seconds, just concentrate on that item. Now release your gaze, release that stare. Breathe in, breathe out, and come back to the space we were in before. This practice is an experiential example of the kind of power your systems and rituals have. Let's go back to what's within your control right now, what seems really important to you, something that you might enjoy trying out tomorrow that would make you feel just a little bit more ready to be refueled and to start your day on purpose. Maybe it's making a list. Maybe it's getting a workout. But this is not, it shouldn't be something big enough to qualify as a resolution. We're not talking about completely changing things. I'd just like you to add one ritual, one practice, something on purpose that is repeatable, that you could do for the next 100 years, and that helps you stay grounded in the fact that you have more power within you than even you know. Do that tomorrow. Stay in touch with us. Tell somebody else who you care about. Try it and see what happens. That's your talent mindfulness for today.
I like it. I've been practicing turning frustration as a fuel for focus. I know that sounds weird, but oftentimes I've discovered about myself, Mike, as we think through this idea of focus and calm, a lot of people try to calm down. I actually get super productive when I get a little sideways on things. It allows, but I have to focus that energy. And you've helped me do this, by the way, as we think about these talent mindfulness ideas of, for me, that chaos creates clarity and helps me sort things out. I just want to encourage folks as we think about these talent mindfulness exercises to really lock into them and listen to what Micah says. Like, there is so much gold in this, but don't just do it for yourselves. Focus on who you are in this top 5 or all 34, however you're doing it, and take them to your teams. And that doesn't mean sitting in a group and kumbaya and everybody hold hands and now breathe, right? But there are some great opportunities, especially coaches, to work through some of these and gather some focus on it. Mike, it's been a really important part of me for the last year as we've been going through these together. So thanks for providing them. I want to say I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It takes practice. Valerie in the chat just said, hey, turning down the noise, like you said, was really difficult. And I think that's why that was our original goal with this was let's offer practice. And it's going to feel hard at first, and it's not going to get easier. Your life is going to get harder, but you're going to get better at facing it.
And let me say this, sometimes the noise helps me to focus. So don't try to be somebody you're not. Take advantage of those things. And I have figured out somehow in the chaos to use that conflict, use that noise to help get clarity and to help kind of focus me, to use that frustration to get to the focus and not necessarily always try to get calm before I get focused. So I just wanted to share that. We want to remind everyone to take full advantages of all the resources we have available on Gallup Access. So visit gallup.com/CliftonStrengths. That's the easiest way to get there. And that'll take you, as you log in, that'll take you right to the Strengths dashboard. We post full transcripts with streaming audio and video, plus all the past episodes. Everything's available out there. Again, on that site, gallup.com/CliftonStrengths. While you're there, sign up for the Clifton Strengths community newsletter, monthly communication with us. We'll get it right to you on all things Clifton Strengths. You can also search for Clifton Strengths on YouTube. Follow us there if you want to do that as well. Gallup Webcasts will get you on any podcast player, in any podcast environment. You'll find us there. Subscribe while you're there. Get it done. Make sure you never miss an episode. If you have any questions on anything, you can always send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. See a complete list of all the learning, and we have some dynamite learning coming up this year. Head over to our courses page, courses.gallup.com. If you never want to miss a live show or know when we're going to do a live show or know when we're going to move a live show, because we moved the live show today from Wednesday to Thursday, follow us on Eventbrite. Go to gallup.eventbrite.com, create an account, follow us there. You'll never miss a communication. In fact, those who registered today are going to get a follow-up email from me here in a few minutes. This is, hey, thanks for coming. It's all automatic, by the way. And you'll get an email that says, thanks for coming. Here's how to, if you missed it, here's how to do it. So that's the value of registration. Get that done. Join us for the 2020 Gallup at Work Summit here, June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd here in beautiful Omaha. No better time to be in Omaha than in June. Gallup at Work, all one word, gallupatwork.com. Registration's going on right now, and if you do it before April 4th, you get the best pricing. So get in there and get it done as well. Join us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/group/called-the-coach. Join us on LinkedIn to search for Clifton Strengths trained coaches. You don't necessarily be a trained coach with us. We'll take anybody in there, but that's the name of the group. Love to have you join us in that group as well. We'll be back. Are we on next week? Yeah. We'll be back
next Friday.
Next Friday. So we're moving. I hate to say that.
Plan your Valentine's Day with us.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We'll be live on Valentine's Day. Love to have you join us with that. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.